I had some quotes, but while some of you are still here, this is something that Erich used to share about the Master's Prayer. He said he gave the figure of climbing a mountain, and the intellect, and as you climb the mountain, you make these switchbacks, back and forth as you're going up the mountain. What the intellect wants to do, you wind up going. You think you're going back and forth. You think you're going higher and higher, but you're actually stuck at a certain elevation, and you create a rut. And the intellect, the mind, wants a formula. It wants to boil things down to something finite. And the Master's Prayer is all superlatives, without beginning, without end, non-dual, beyond imagination and conception. So it's blowing off the top. The dome of the intellect is getting blown apart, because everything in the Master's Prayer is infinite conscious, infinite knowledge, infinite power, infinite bliss. And so in reciting that prayer, you are actually preventing the intellect or the mind from just narrowing things down. It just narrows it down, and you get in a rut. And then you recite this prayer, and it knocks the top off of everything. So that's a great value. I mean, it's basically, it is, it is a description of our soul. Most of it is a description of our own soul or consciousness itself, without form, beyond imagination and conception, all of those attributes. So that's probably why, we feel very kind of expansive after doing the Master's Prayer, because, and you're not kept down with this drum beat of that guy over there. You actually get to kind of go into the heavens. So that was something that he used to say. So it has great value in just even to getting out from under the confining influence of the mind. So, now I'm going to give you God Speaks in about 1 minute from Rumi. This is God Speaks, and this is from God. This is in God Speaks. This quote. It's called The Ascending Soul. I died as mineral and became a plant. I died as plant and rose to animal. I died as animal, and I was man. Why should I fear? When was I less by dying? Yet once more I shall die as man, to soar with angels blessed. But even from angelhood I must pass on. All except God doth perish. When I have sacrificed my angel soul, I shall become what no mind ever conceived. Oh, let me not exist, for non-existence proclaims in organ tones, to him we shall return. Oh, let me not exist, for non-existence proclaims in organ tones, to him we shall return. So that you don't have to read the book, I guess. Just I got some other quotes. Now this is from Mani, Baba's sister, written by Mani. Why were the saints saints? Because they were cheerful when it was difficult to be cheerful, patient when it was difficult to be patient, and because they pushed when they wanted to stand still, and kept silent when they wanted to talk, and were agreeable when they wanted to be disagreeable. That was all. It was quite simple and always will be. I'll read that one again. I mean, this is from money. Why were the saints saints? Because they were cheerful when it was difficult to be cheerful, patient when it was difficult to be patient, and because they pushed when they wanted to stand still, and kept silent when they wanted to talk, and were agreeable when they wanted to be disagreeable. That was all. It was quite simple, and always will be. So there's nothing sublime about that. It's hard work. You know, pushing against our nature. Oh, someone raised their hand there.
Yeah,
Roxy.
Jeff, it's me. Thank you. I always struggle with that because, you know, in the Persian culture, everybody acts like angels, and they agree with you when they're really disagreeing with you, and they are nice when they don't want to be nice, and there's a level of, um, I mean, this is not all Persians. I'm just saying
Yeah,
that's because you were raised that way. Uh, where's the line that you cross hypocrisy on that?
yeah. I
Is
mean,
that a bad question to ask?
Erich used to say, for example, not to just be cheerful and smile and everything, to actually feel cheerful, to actually be agreeable, not outwardly agreeable, but to actually be agreeable. You know what I mean? To actually
To
be
control
patient.
your mind.
Yeah, I mean, you have to feel it. Otherwise, it's kind of just you're going through the motions. You know, being polite, but there's a politeness that comes from the heart, and then there's a politeness that comes from learned behavior. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, what Mani's talking about, I feel, is in a situation that you're being called upon to be agreeable. The situation calls you upon you to be agreeable.
Hmm.
Not that you're not because people. I mean, you feel it from within. So it's a
That,
deeper thing. But
okay.
yeah, because Erich used to get a little, people put on that kind of thin smile and cheerfulness, and he would kind of tease you. No, no, you're not really cheerful. What's going on in you?
Mm,
He'd kind of go to what's underlying it.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but good what you said. I mean, that there's that distinction there.
There's a distinction. Yes, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah,
Well, thank you for sharing. It was lovely.
yeah. That was Money, Baba's sister. Okay, here's one for all of you. I mean, I'm looking around, and this pertains to every one of you except Elowin. Elowin, this is Rumi. A handsome man or beautiful woman, in the end, wind up ugly old donkeys. From angel to eyesore in a few years. In human beings, beauty is only borrowed. Bit by bit, God recalls the loan. I'm looking for beauty itself. I've quit falling in love with skin and bones. That's Rumi. I'll read that one again. A handsome man or a beautiful woman, in the end, wind up ugly old donkeys. From angel to eyesore in a few years. In human beings, beauty is only borrowed. Bit by bit, God recalls the loan. I'm looking for beauty itself. I've quit falling in love with skin and bones. I like that. Rumi's got a great sense of humor. I mean, you know, he's. Here's one. This is one of Mara's favorite quotes of Baba's. Seeds germinate in soft soil. I plant my seed of love not in your strengths, but your weaknesses. Seeds germinate in soft soil. I plant my seed of love not in your strengths, but in your weaknesses. I'll read one more here. You say you feel abandoned because whenever you arrive, the beloved leaves. Was it something you said? Yes. You said you wanted oneness. So now the beloved never shows up when you're around. It's you or him. Make your choice. The beloved is waiting for you to drown in the sea of himself. You say you feel abandoned because whenever you arrive, the beloved leaves. Was it something you said? Yes. You said you wanted oneness. So now the beloved never shows up when you're around. It's you or him. Make your choice. The beloved is waiting for you to drown in the sea of himself. You know, the perfect master Ramakrishna said, like, there's an ocean and then there's a log that's spanning the ocean, and that runs and divides it. That log is our ego. Once that's lifted up, oneness, then there's just oneness. But getting rid of that log, that's the you got to be, around where someone wants firewood really badly. Come and I'll take it. Okay, go. Betty, what do you have?
Oh, Betty?
Can I add a few more roomies?
Yeah.
Lenita, are you going to talk too? Do you have something?
No, I'm just going to say that I got another roomie, but you go first and then I have another roomie after you.
All right. I'll do two, I think. I read this morning. I like it. I think it applies with Black Lives Matter. Well, I'll just read it. You know what's going on today. Drunks fear the police, but the police are drunk too. People in this town, we love them. Both, like different chess pieces. And then here's this another one.
Read that one again, Betty. That's good.
Okay. Drunks fear the police, but the police are drunk too. People in this town, we love them both, like different chess pieces.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Where'd it go? Spirit and body. Don't feed both sides of yourself equally. The spirit and the body carry different loads and require different attention. Too often we put saddlebags on Jesus and let the donkey run loose in the pasture. Don't make the body do what the spirit does best, and don't put a big load on the spirit that the body could easily carry.
Wow. Wait, now pause on that one there a bit. That's a great metaphor. Wow. Don't put a saddle on Jesus.
Please repeat. Betty may repeat.
Yeah, good. I agree, Sham.
Okay.
Spirit and body. Don't feed both sides of yourself equally. The spirit and the body carry different loads and require different attentions. Too often we put saddlebags on Jesus and let the donkey run loose in the pasture. Don't make the body do what the spirit does best, and don't put a big load on the spirit that the body could carry easily.
Excellent. Really good.
He's wonderful.
That reminds me of another line of Rumi where he says, a donkey with a load of holy books is still a donkey. Oh, fuck. Yikes. Whoa. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Oh.
I just,
Are you,
some things. That's all right.
do we need to excuse you for a minute or two?
No, that's okay. It's all
Oh.
okay.
Lenita, you had one.
I got one. It's a very short one. Don't grieve. Anything you lose comes round in another form.
Wow,
Rumi.
beautiful.
There's this one here also. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. When the soul lies down in the grass, the world is too full to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, there's a little bit more to that. I'll sing it.
Oh.
Out beyond what's that? Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field, I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas and language, even the phrase each other, doesn't make any sense. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field, I'll meet you there.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, Jeff. Oh.
Jeff, you just made it up in this song?
No,
You just made it up the melody?
no, someone put that to music. A guy named David Wilcox.
Oh, okay.
Here's another one. Come to the orchard in spring. There is light and wine and sweethearts in the pomegranate flowers. If you do not come, these do not matter. If you do come, these do not matter.
Yeah.
Boy, he was wonderful.
Yeah, he was turning out in the latter part of his life, he was just cranking out the poetry. Here's one.
There's another one here. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it.
Beautiful. Read that one again. Yeah.
Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it.
Yeah. That's like the metaphor that Baba gave, is that the sun is there, but if you got an umbrella over your head, you're just blocking the sun.
Yeah.
Remove the umbrella and the sun automatically. Here's another one from Rumi. Don't turn your head. Keep looking at the bandaged place. That's where the light enters you. And don't believe for a moment that you are healing yourself.
Wow.
Don't turn your head. Keep looking at the bandaged place. That's where the light enters you. And don't believe for a moment that you are healing yourself.
Wow.
Wow.
I gotta go, Jeff. Thank
Yeah.
you. It's
See you
always
guys. Yeah. Yeah.
Look,
See you, Betty. And love
Jeff,
to
I have
Dave.
this. This is a good one. He's very short. Okay.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Betty left.
Yeah. Betty left.
You were born with wings. Why prefer to crawl through life?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm
Can I
inspired.
share something, Jeff?
Lenita, again, please,
Oh, okay.
once again.
Yes. All right, hold on just a sec. You were born with wings. Why prefer to crawl through life? Got it?
Yeah.
Cheyenne?
There's another line from that Erich liked. If you can only crawl, crawl to him. If you cannot pray to God sincerely, offer your dry, agnostic, hypocritical prayer. For God in his mercy accepts bad coin. That's one that Erich liked. Oh, good. Catherine, you got something there.
Well, it's just something I found on the internet. Just doing the thing about being at dust at the master's feet was kind of coming to my mind, and it's interesting because it seems to be about Rumi. So I just found it online at the is it AMB prazarkindra.com, that site, and it says be like dust at the master's feet. And was Rumi, was it Maulana Rumi? How do you say that?
Maulana Rumi,
sorry.
right?
Yes. So it says Maulana Rumi was a great savant scholar of his time. He could give good speeches and discourses. When he traveled from place to place, the books of his learned lore were packed and carried on camelback. Everywhere he was accorded the highest honors. Shams Tabriz, on the other hand, was quite naked. One day they encountered each other and Shams threw all Rumi's books in a well. Rumi was furious with him, but Shams explained that all his books, including the Quran, were like dry bones for a dog. Until now, he said, you have been chewing only the bones. It is time you tasted the brain. Rumi was greatly upset, and so Shams had all the books drawn out of the well. They were completely dry. This amazed Rumi, and Shams said, as long as Rumi does not become the slave of Shams, he will learn nothing. Henceforth, Rumi became his master's slave, and Shams eventually made him God realized. Baba ended by saying, become men of experience, for that be like the dust at the master's feet.
Yeah. Yeah, famous scene where Rumi used to tie his books up, so they were dropped in the well and then they were pulled up and there was not a drop of water on them. So he knew that this guy was a little bit different. Hey, here's something, unless anybody has something, this is something that Bao used to share. But it's very interesting that what I'm going to read, what Baba said here, Darwin told me he had a cosmic experience in reading what I'm going to read eventually. And what this happened in I think it was 54 in Satara, where Baba was staying, and there were a couple of cottages, and Alaba was in charge of these two servant boys, and one of their jobs was to make the tea in the morning, and Alaba would wake them up at 5 in the morning, and by 6, they would have the chai ready. But one morning, he woke them up at 5, and they went back to sleep. So when Baba came over at 6:15, there was no chai made, and Alaba pitched a fit. Oh man, he just kicked the door. He handled the boys roughly. I don't exactly know. I mean, Bao didn't spell out exactly the treatment that, but Alaba pitched a fit. I mean, he was furious, and And so the other men Mandali were, quite upset about this uncalled for behavior on the part of Alaba. And so later on in the day, Baba's walking from one cottage to the other, and Alaba's on one side and Bao's on the other, and they're escorting him across over to this other cottage. And Baba says, to Bao, what are you thinking? And of course, Bao said, no, nothing, Baba. No, what are you thinking and everything. He dragged it out. He said, I'm, Alaba's behavior. I found it unacceptable. So this is what Baba says. I was thinking the way Alaba treats the boys. And then Baba scolded him and said, you better leave for another ashram. India is full of ashrams, and if you go to one of them, you will be able to lead a virtuous life. Bao was greatly taken aback, and Baba explained at length. Now these are the three little paragraphs that Darwin had a cosmic experience from. I read it like a week before Darwin did, and it made a deep impression on me. But this is what Baba said. With me, no one can live what the world considers a moral life. That first line. With me, no one can live what the world considers a moral life. Here we are concerned with spirituality, not morals. A spiritual life is not ruled nor bound by any principles. The sanskars of each one are different, and so the behavior and temperament of everyone are different. In a virtuous life, or a good life, evil is suppressed and good surfaces, but the evil is still there. The bad sanskars remain and have to be worked out, if not in this life, then in the next or one after. In the spiritual life, both good and bad sanskars express themselves, and both get nullified. A spiritual life leads one toward naturalness, whereas a virtuous life, in the guise of humility, inflates the ego and perpetuates it. A spiritual life, though, is only led under the guidance and orders of the avatar or a perfect master who knows the pulse of everyone and treats everyone according to his particular malady. You do not like Alaba's behavior, but his behavior was quite natural and necessary for him. How can you understand that? People of the world act according to moral standards and socially acceptable behavior, but the avatar or a perfect master deals with everyone according to his or her sanskaras. Thus, spiritual life is totally different and cannot be judged on the basis of morality, ethics, or any principle. Smiling, Baba asked Bao, now tell me, which ashram do you intend to go to? Bao says, none. Now here's the continuation. The fact was that Bao himself was under the thumb of Alaba's rough treatment. Baba had ordered him to do as Alaba instructed, and Bao had to do much of the hard work, such as cleaning the lanterns and bicycles, sweeping, weeding the garden, draining the dirty water, besides attending to correspondence work, escorting Baba back and forth to his bungalow, writing work, correspondence, etc. Alaba would always find some extra work for him and tell him to do it. That too, with much harshness, demanding it be done immediately. But for Bao, it was all a great lesson in forbearance. And Baba himself was creating such situations. He would create strife between the Mandali members so that none would be partial to another. Then he ends here. Life with Meher Baba was like walking on the edge of a sword, walking on it even though crippled in one leg. Such a life cannot be imagined. Daily one had to bear lightning-like blows. Yet strangely enough, one would be in such a condition that, although suffering from wounds, one would not like to be left without them and be unharmed. On the one hand, the mind would hurt under the attack, but on the other, the heart would desire more punishment. Thus, because of the continuous shower of blows to the ego, the mind was becoming powerless and the heart strong. Such was the spiritual life with Meher Baba. What do you folks think of that? I mean, with me, no one can live what the world considers a moral life. You know. And if you live, a virtuous, good life and everything, it's just the evil kind of gets suppressed. So Baba's kind of, you're getting a little bit of heaven, a little bit of hell, a little bit of virtue, a little bit of, all this happening as you go along. And that results not in a prideful state, but in a natural life where you're just you see all your shortcomings and hang-ups and have to live with it. But anyway,
it reminds me of something where I think it was when Bauji was at the center one time, some story about how I can't remember who's who, but a Baba lover shared a kind of off, kind of not very moral type of joke, like a dirty joke,
yeah,
to Baba. And I want to say it was a female, but just another Baba lover was thinking, how inappropriate it was to share this dirty joke with Baba. And then Baba was like, "What are you thinking?" And do you recall that story?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this happened in Baba's presence.
Right.
I even know the joke, but I can't remember quite well enough, but maybe Mayor Prasad knows it. But it was Harry Florsheim that told the joke in the barn, and Jane Haynes was kind of offended by this and everything the first time around. So Baba said, "Say it again." Jane Haynes didn't hear it. So he ran it back at her again. And I don't know, he might have told the same joke 3 times. But it's a little bit off color.
Right.
But, but she was, a little proper. So this was kind of changing her view of life with Baba.
What was the joke, Jeff? I don't think I heard the joke.
About the guy that I won't do it justice, but I'll just give you the beginning of it. A guy wants to go to a movie, but he's got his pet chicken with him, and they won't allow animals in there. So he puts it down his pants and goes into the theater. And then while he's in there, he kind of unzips and the thing pops out, and there are a couple of very proper ladies next to him, and he's got a bag of popcorn, and the ladies say, "Did you see that? I mean, the man exposed himself, and it's even eating popcorn." Something like that. I mean, it was, but they were like. Jane Haynes was a little bit perturbed. I didn't do the thing justice, but a couple of old ladies, just couldn't handle this, Hey, Shraddha, how are you?
Yeah. Hey, Baba, Jeff, I'm good. Yeah.
We went through a lot of material before you got here. We ran out now.
Oh my God! Wow.
No, I don't know.
It all.
No, we read a bunch of Rumi, and here's one thing that Oh, Anita is here too. From now, I'm going to tell you one thing that didn't go over well. Erich would say, "Good to see you." Erich would say this every once in a while in Mandalay Hall over the years, and it didn't go over big among the Westerners sitting there. But it happened, you know. And here's the scene. Bob was sitting in Mandalay Hall. Bob was sitting in the chair, and Erich is over by the window, and Erich says, Baba says, you see that wall there, which would be kind of where the clock is, to Erich's right. That wall is my being. And you see that little imperfection there on the wall? That's Erich. Erich is a blemish on my being. What has to happen is he has to get rubbed out. Now, people did not like that. I went up to him one time afterwards and I say, you mean it's just like having a pimple on your face and it's there and then after a few days it's gone and that's it? He said, yeah. Now, I didn't mind that. I felt a relief somehow. I don't know why. But
why didn't people like it? What was it that was so upsetting about it?
Because you want to be there and collect your realization. And what he's saying is you're not going to even be around to pick it up. Baba's going to get it, and then you're just cast off like like one of these Triceratops beetles, that just leaves its carcass there. In other words, really becoming nothing, and Baba becomes everything, and that's why when the prayer, beloved God, help us all to love you more and more and more and more, and still yet more, until we become worthy of union with you. And Erich said to Baba, it should be, beloved God, help us all to love you more and more and more and more, and still yet more, until we are no more. But Baba wouldn't change the prayer because, what is it? Till we become worthy of union with you. We want union, and so I don't normally say this, but I somehow it's something to have in your toolbox when you find somehow that you have disappeared. And I don't know how it happens at the end there. But that's one version of it. That's not union with Baba. That is you totally effaced.
I have a question there.
Yeah.
I know the words that get chosen and the way anything is also communicated is so very thoughtfully and carefully done. And especially with Erich and other rest of the Mandali, they would be so very careful with the choice of words that are communicated to other Baba lovers, either in the Mandali hall or explaining things. In this example itself, like Erich himself said, this is the reality. The truth is until we are no more. It is truth still. But look at how beautifully Baba still chooses words even there, not to belittle, but to still uplift the spirits. I was reading the story again on how Erich was describing about the fact that truth, he was kind of clarifying, you may mention the facts, but what do you know about truth? Truth isn't something that belittles someone, makes them feel that they are small, but truth is something that upholds or uplifts
Uplifts.
someone.
Yeah.
And I think there are various ways to grasp that meaning. And there are so many different ways to communicate that message too. The way in Rustam Falahati's book, it came across to me was, yes, there are so many perspectives. We don't even know the complete truth. We, for example, only see what we see at the surface. For example, that woman is ugly, right? But that's one of the examples that Erich was saying.
Another one. You can get
that
another one.
Erich was saying that, you wouldn't use the word, you wouldn't say that you are ugly. You would say you have a beautiful voice, or you will say something like, you have so much inner beauty or something like that, that uplifts them. But, there is an angle of diplomacy versus an angle of approaching from reality or love or truth. Right.
Yeah.
And there is a very fine line. I was just thinking to myself, at what point do you cross the line and become more diplomatic versus, become more from the heart giving?
Yeah. I mean, luckily Baba says that intuition is always 100% correct. And we have that on us. I mean, accessing it is our challenge. But actually our intuition can know just what to say in this particular situation. I mean, it kind of knows without it being a conclusion of thought and weighing ideas and everything. It kind of knows if we can access it.
Right.
But that the line that you said there, Erich would share this, that he was Zoroastrian, and one of the major tenets of Zoroastrianism is honesty, to be honest. So Erich was very honest. He came out of that background, but he would wind up being what you might call a little too honest. I mean, he said things, he was like outspoken and everything when he joined Baba. And after some years, Baba let him do this, but at one point, there's this scene that he described with Baba, and Baba says, now I'm paraphrasing part of this, where Baba says, Erich, you're very honest, but your honesty is different from mine. Your honesty can hurt people, And he said, and this is the line, the truth is that which uplifts another. Whatever crushes another person's heart cannot be true. Even if it's true in the worldly sense, but if it crushes somebody, it can't be true. You sing a song and, oh, well, she's got a terrible voice, you say, and it might be objectively true, but it could really hurt your heart. Because so Erich, he learned the truth is that which uplifts another.
Right.
Whatever crushes another person cannot be true. It's a beautiful thing. I mean that distinction Baba made.
And I find that so cool for like when we try to help people with things like quitting smoking or stop doing drugs or things like that. It's like you can't use a paternalistic approach, because that is exactly that. You're kind of putting the person down and saying you shouldn't smoke or you should stop doing this, it's bad for you. And then it doesn't make the person, it doesn't uplift their spirit. They don't feel good. But when we take approaches where it's about developing a relationship with them and being compassionate, and like harm reduction approaches, or like all these other things we're finding out through like research, it's all links back to Baba. And it's like, yeah, we want to use those divine qualities and use our inner Baba to like bring out their inner Baba to help them. And that's what helps them reach those good outcomes. So.
Yeah, beautiful. I find, Darwin Shaw talks about the good-bad scale. There's love, and then there's the good-bad scale. And a sure sign that I'm on the good-bad continuum is when I am one way and I look at somebody and I feel kind of critical of the way they are. Then I'm on the good bad scale. But if I'm in the state of love, I'm very generous and very tolerant. You know what I mean? So it's a sure sign that you're identifying with being good, and so that person doesn't come out as favorable. But when you're in the state of love, or you do something love, and someone criticizes it, it doesn't bother you because you feel such a privilege to be able to experience love. It makes you very tolerant and patient and everything. That's yeah.
Jeff,
Yeah.
so there's two kind of sides to this, but and the thought I'm having is that we really, I mean, in trying to be come from our hearts, we don't want to feed the ego, not only in ourselves but in others. So whatever, we don't want to say things or react in a way that's going to harass their ego, feed their ego, whatever. And then Baba seemed to put different personalities, different types of egos, to opposites together to try to efface that. But at the other hand, there's one side of it, of facing it, where you kind of have the opposites nullify each other. But then there's the other side of coming from your heart, meaning that you're not feeding your ego, like you just said, or bringing it up in someone else. Just for instance, like with jealousy, if you're going on and on about how you have this wonderful thing or this wonderful trip, that you even need to be careful that you don't boast or brag, because then that brings up the ego of another person, that kind of thing.
Yeah it's it's like we have the potential of 360-degree awareness, and we may only be using 25% of it, to kind of know the effect that what we say has on other people. It really takes a great sensitivity. So you kind of know from experience, not just from or from intuition, the effect that you're having. But there was one other thing I was going to mention, but I've kind of forgotten it. But we got Mayor Prasad over here. He's just spinning his wheels. Anything over there? You generally got some great Baba quotes.
No, Jeff, I was not really planning on anything, but
you did a couple nights ago. There was a quote that you came out with that I hadn't heard before. Now I can't remember it at all. It was a short quote.
Yeah, I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Let's see if this is the one.
But
yeah, this one is when the mind. Oh no, not this one. Amidst intense activity, if there is absolute calmness of mind, that is the highest love. I don't know if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, that's it. Read that slowly. Listen to this. This is great.
Amidst intense activity, if there is absolute calmness of mind, that is the highest love.
Yeah. That kind of interior quiet. Even if your emotions are going this way, but if behind the emotions there's the calm, the love can kind of percolate through whatever you happen to be doing.
This is Baba's quote? This is from Baba?
Yeah, that was Baba. Yeah, that was Baba.
And there is a related one too. It says, when the mind is trained to remain unmoved and balanced in the presence of all external and internal stimuli, it arrives at the state of non-wanting. Let me read that again.
Yeah.
When the mind is trained to remain unmoved and balanced In the presence of all external and internal stimuli, it arrives at the state of non-wanting.
And the difficult thing there is the internal stimuli, the moods, and the thoughts we have about ourselves. I mean, you know, am I good? Am I bad? Where am I? Am I a decent person? How selfish am I? I mean, all of that self-reference. Little kids aren't doing that. I mean, really young kids. They're not saying, gee, I wonder what kind of person I am. You know, I mean, they're flowing. They're flowing out to life. They're not back there, you know, gauging on what kind of person they are. And Baba, I think, is leading us to, you know, the guilelessness. There's no kind of ulterior stuff going on. I mean, that's a great place to be. Fun-loving. Well, there was something else I was thinking of, but anything, Anita, anything that...
That makes me think of, I was listening to one of the talks you and Alan were discussing reactions to reactions.
Yeah.
And I realized that was what I was struggling with last week when I was asking you about, how to deal with obsessive thoughts or getting rid of thoughts. And we talked about feelings, but I realized that I was afraid and fearful of my fear. And I was reacting to that fear. And my ego was so just didn't want to be anxious and was trying to fix it and get rid of it and feel better. And I find I get stuck in that kind of, whenever I face a block, it's often like my ego is trying to, it knows it doesn't feel good and it tries to feel better and fix it. And sometimes it relates to other people too. Like when someone feels bad, or like my son is crying or my husband's upset, it's like, I don't like it when they're upset and I want to help them feel better. But that's my ego trying to go in and fix things versus Baba's wish, which is, Baba wants me to feel this way. Baba wants that person to feel this way. And then asserting the truth, asserting love, asserting oneness to instead help dissolve that versus trying to fix it and change it. So.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, these are all kind of internal things. Yeah. I mean, and who is it who doesn't react? I think that's our consciousness rather than our ego. That doesn't react to the reaction, you know. But it's hard. I mean, because if we react and we say, oh, that's not, I shouldn't be doing that, you know, that's not right. And so then it gets, another layer is put on it.
Yes, that's in itself, that's a reaction. So it's like when you have the reaction initially, just noticing it and saying, okay, I'm reacting because Baba wants me to react to this, and this is just a sanskaric thing, and then making it not a big deal. So it's like, oh, I'm just observing it, and it's not a big deal. It's actually nothing. And then you kind of can take it lightly, and that's how it can kind of, you can be detached from it, and then it can pass on its own versus oh, I reacted. Oh, I shouldn't do this. Oh, I have to do this. And you just get caught up in it more.
Yeah, that's, I mean, because we're a bundle of sanskaras, it's hard for us to walk from one end of the day to the other without our sanskaras reacting. You know, a dog comes lurching out of a house at us, and you know what I mean, and we get scared, or you know, or we see someone throw a cigarette butt off off into the sidewalk. I mean, we're not going to be able to stop those reactions, but you know, because they're just sanskaric, and they're due to our upbringing and our values and everything. But behind it, if we can just witness ourselves reacting and not getting in there and putting a value judgment on it. You know, I shouldn't be that way. I mean, but if you try not to react, as you go through the day, that's impossible. You know, I mean, you're walking along and there's a low hanging branch and you hits the side of your head. You know, I mean, you're going to react.
Yeah.
You know, but it's the reaction to the reaction.
Yeah, and like if you see your initial reaction as like, okay, this is an opportunity for something to pass to Baba as well. Like
Good.
I've
Yeah.
reacted, and then that's what you were saying last week. It's like feel whatever you're feeling in that moment, and then instead of like being upset about the reaction, just being like, oh, okay, Baba's made this come up, and that's okay because this is something else like that can pass on to Baba. Like I don't have to deal with it. It's his job to dissolve these sanskars. My job is just to be aware that it's happening and prevent forming new sanskars, like prevent acting on it and just let him do that work. Yeah.
No, I wish I had it as clearly as you have it at your age.
No, but you guys all helped me with this. Like
No, but I mean, yeah.
And I don't know it all the time. It's literally been like
Yeah.
the last couple of weeks. This is just what's fresh in my mind. I'm gonna forget it again.
And you probably heard about. We'll talk about it sometime where Baba said to the men in 1954, this Sahaj Dhyan, clothe your soul with Baba.
Right.
You heard that. It's 4 times a day. Now where was I going with that?
That was in Dart, like Effort and Grace too. I think they talk about that.
It's in there.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? I forgot. There was a point I was going to make.
That's okay. It'll come.
But clothing your soul with Baba, 4 times a day, but you can do it anytime. After a while, you just do it anytime. I mean, if you got a spare moment, just clothe your soul with Baba. Dress your soul with Baba.
Yeah.
So it becomes like ever present. But there was something I was going to link that to something that we were talking about, but it's not coming to me. Let's see.
Giving to Baba is the most powerful weapon we have, and it's fortunate to realize that at a young age. So Anita, that's very, very fortunate to have that kind of a experience and understanding that you can give to Baba.
Well, age is nothing. None of us know how old we are. Time is nothing, right?
I'm convinced we've all been with Baba in the 1920s or 30s or 40s, or in your case, you could be up to the 60s, We've been with Baba, so this is not our first rodeo. Now, the reason
we're all with him now.
Yeah. The reason I mentioned that is it comes to me is that sometimes when I'm approaching 12 o'clock, and I'm absorbed in something, and I'll drop something. And, why did I drop that? And then I look at the watch, 12 o'clock. So these can be little like Maris called it like speed bumps. You're going along and everything cruising along, and then you hit a speed bump, and then Baba, that you can use these things not as something wrong with you, but as opportunities. Oh, I get a chance to consciously remember Baba and get knocked out of my absorption in whatever. So even the things that go wrong, I take them as ways, ways of getting me to think in a concentrated way on Baba. Even if you lose your temper, oh my God, I lost my temper, and then I lost my temper because I was not, I was not quite focused on Baba, and now I lost my temper. Now I am focusing on Baba and giving this mess to him. So all of our good and bad and ugly thing in our life can be in the service of giving to Bob and remembering him. That's the way I look at it. That's the way that all the Mandalis said. Let's see.
Yeah, it's like redirecting your consciousness. Like when that thing happens, like you bang your foot on something or whatever, it's like, where was my mind? Oh, I can bring it back to Baba now. Like he did this.
Yeah. No, let's see. Anything else come up? What about Prakash? Oh, go ahead, Shraddha.
I was just gonna say I came across a quote from Upasni Maharaj, and I thought that might be interesting to share.
Yeah.
So it reads, a utensil causes limitation. It separates a particular quantity of water. The water within gets limited and becomes measurable. The utensil thus makes the water limited and measurable. Limited or measurable means abhimana, pride.
Now, now I'm trying to visualize what kind of utensil. I'm trying to visualize a metaphor.
I think a metaphor there could be the human body, a drop soul from an ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think a context it kind of came about was the moment we try to spirit of the law versus letter of the law.
Mm-hmm.
The moment we try to enforce something through rules, even if it is meant in the best of the spirits, and you write it down and enforce it through rules, even those taken to an extreme become evil in the sense that it raises the pride. Now you've made something measurable, quantify it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's like there are people that kind of wave the rule book at you. You know those people. And I mean, there's some rules we need for cooperative life, but some people get into it literally, and it has they have a certain power over you. You are not following the rules, even though there may be a reason why you're not following the rules, because love is indicating something else. Like for example, there was a woman that came to the center, and while she was there, she got a phone call because her, I don't know if this is good to talk about, but her sister had been abducted and they found her body. So she got the phone call there about 9 o'clock at night. And now there was one woman who was following this case very closely. It was from California, and so they talked and everything because she knew the case very well, and so they went to the lagoon cabin. And I went by about 11:30, and everybody's supposed to clear out and get back to their cabin at 11:30. But here is this situation. The two women stayed in the lagoon cabin till about 3 in the morning. Because that the grief and the heart takes precedent over the 11:30 curfew. You know what I mean? So it's like that. You have to kind of know. It's not like you're flaunting the rules.
Yeah.
Even Elizabeth said the rules are meant to be broken. I mean, they have to be flexible enough to be broken. There have to be exceptions. Love requires exceptions to just about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. It came up in the context of, a highly controversial topic, nonviolence, and how the whole movement around Gandhiji's nonviolence brought about in an indirect way, it was violent because it brought about the death of so many innocent people.
Yeah.
And Baba had, I think in Lord Meher, there are so many other contexts given that he had tried to, make Gandhiji realize that anything, even non-violence, when taken to an extreme, can become violence. And this was one of the examples. It was a little bit mind-blowing for me in the beginning because it was, it felt like it took a little bit of a deeper understanding to get the context why it at first glance it feels like what the Martin Luther King movement or the Black movement and nonviolent, the whole thing feels right, but at the same time Baba says love does spontaneous things, and the most spontaneous thing that comes to you is to protect your own when someone attacks you. And it seems like during World War, when there were supposed to be some imminent attacks, women Mandali were being trained on Baba's orders to be, defending themselves. If someone attacks, you should be ready to fight back and not just, um,
Yeah. Not just. Yeah. I mean, Gandhi said that. Well, I mean, those three discourses on not violence and nonviolence, Baba sent those to Gandhi. I mean, those were written for him.
yeah.
And early on, Gandhi wanted to do nonviolence, maybe 20 years earlier. But
Mm,
Baba said, you really have to train this. You have to get the inner discipline because otherwise, at some point, you might go into rage.
mm,
You might really strangle the person 10 times worse than they're going after you. So
mm,
it really takes a lot of work,
mm,
and by 19 whatever 47 or 48 whatever it was,
mm,
um, Gandhi tried,
mm.
and he and a lot of his followers did excellently, but the generality of people, it just takes too much training
Yeah.
not to react back violently. you
Yeah.
know just yeah, very difficult.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's see. VJ, well, you got something over there to.
Jay Baba. Yeah, no, I'm enjoying.
Yeah.
Uh, just I want to say that reacting, our reaction, and reacting to anything. So we are human being. We will react, but we have to careful about lust, greed, and anger. These three things. Except be careful into taking into action, and otherwise the reaction is very spontaneous and. Uh, we got to be careful that we change into action. Like we are angry, we are driving a car on the going on the highway. So there are instances. So we can react, but not into action, like fighting with someone or getting into fight or something like. So that thing I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, because
Yeah.
these impressions of lust, greed, anger, these are really, of course, greed and anger, lust goes at the last. And that is also with the grace of Master. Master helps in that. And, but other actions like greed and anger, we have to keep watch. Yeah.
Yeah, Baba says that anger, we can't give up on our own. It takes a perfect master or the avatar to help us to control anger. I mean, we'll try it down here, but I mean, to actually get the real control of it is the grace of a master. because it's on the mental plane. Anger is on the mental plane. Greed is on the subtle plane, and lust is the gross plane. You know.
Lust also goes up to higher
Yeah.
flames.
Yeah, it goes up, but you can control it. It's
Yeah.
possible to control it on the physical level, but
Right.
it remains all the way to the seventh. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. What about Janet Jacobs? Has she got anything to say down there?
Well, Jeff, I've been wondering. I remember one time something you said about, I think it was Eric said something about when how we know Baba forgives us, and it has something to do with remorse.
Yeah.
Could you repeat that?
Yeah, I asked Erich what was how he experienced Baba's forgiveness.
Uh-huh.
And Erich said that normally when people do something that's unkind and selfish, they they make their appeal to God to try to forgive them, and they keep petitioning him until they feel forgiven. But with Baba, when you do something unkind and selfish, the remorse you feel for having been unkind and unselfish, the remorse is the sign that you've already been forgiven.
Wow, that's so amazing. And so once you feel the remorse, it doesn't necessarily just disappear. You kind of keep feeling remorse for a while, or at least I do.
Yeah, I mean, I think of guilt as kind of half-hearted remorse.
I see, but
I mean, it keeps, the guilt is a little more on the mental level, but a remorse is at the heart level.
Yeah, I when I'm saying remorse, I think it's remorse. I did something I regret, and I think I'm feeling remorse because it's that kind of, it's a bit of a heaviness of heart. I guess I would say kind of, yeah. I feel it's best I know I'm feeling remorseful, but knowing that I am then forgiven by Baba, that feeling doesn't necessarily just lift. I'm not feeling guilty, but I am still feeling the remorse. Yeah. Is that possible, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an opportunity to then go on giving that big chunk of yourself that gets stirred up by what you did, to give that to Baba. I mean, like some weeks ago, I'll tell you, I did some backbiting of somebody that I was warning somebody about someone else's behavior. And then someone squealed on me, and so that person heard what I had said. And so I felt, oh my God, this is terrible. So what I did, I felt like one part of me went over the line with backbiting. So I stirred up deeply, and I felt remorse, but I spent a whole evening and night giving it to Baba.
I see.
And oddly, and the person wanted to get together and confront me on this. And what happened is the person got so sick that weeks have gone by, and the whole thing was kind of forgotten. But I feel that my genuine remorse and bringing it to Baba, he cleared it up. Because here's how I got the idea for this. I felt it, but Alaba told me one time, one of the Mandali, Bob had asked him to do something and he failed to do it. And he knew that the next day Baba was going to lay into him for not completing something that so he spent the whole night asking Baba for forgiveness and remorse and everything, just the whole night and everything like that. And then the next day when he saw Baba, Baba didn't even bring it up, because he got the lesson. He felt remorse, so Baba didn't have to correct him. He self-corrected. I don't know if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense, and I can really relate to the whole thing about backbiting and getting caught, because that's sort of what happened.
Oh God, it was embarrassing, but I do feel like Baba took care of that. He helped me out on that one.
So
But
you just spent a whole lot of time giving the whole situation to
oh
Baba,
yeah, it was very
and
disturbing.
eventually it just worked itself out.
Yeah, see, the thing is that this is what Bao would say about Baba's forgiveness, and the other mandali too, is when Baba forgives, it's like it didn't even happen in creation. If you really get Baba's forgiveness, all of those sanskars are dissolved, and it's as if it didn't happen. For example, there were, I know, 3 occasions in different times, 3 people who had murdered someone. The murderers, came to Baba with genuine remorse. I mean, they fell at his feet, and Baba, Baba felt like he forgave them, and they were never held accountable. Because Baba took on the sanskars of the murder, the murder and everything. He took it on, and so it didn't happen in creation. You know what I mean? Those sanskar, that film clip, that film footage has been clipped out of the projector. I mean, it's no longer on the reel.
That's very encouraging.
I mean, really, you can, by giving things to Baba, you can, well, here's another thing that I've found helpful from Baba, is I've done a lot of selfish things, especially in my college days. I did a lot of selfish things. And it used to be when I thought of them, I just feel like, oh, cringe. Oh, my God, I did that, And after years of this, I thought, I'm going to stop doing that, because every time I think of that, I'm reinforcing that on my consciousness. I'm just going to send love. When those impressions come up and those memories, send love to that and change it all so that those things don't have that same sting, that same hurt. We can change our relationship to the selfish things we've done in the present. I mean, with Baba's name and everything, give it. So whatever we have done, that doesn't have to continue to bind us, make us feel bad. And also, this is it. If I hadn't done those things that I did in my college days, I wouldn't have the empathy and compassion that I have today, because I did those things. And when I hear someone else say they did the same thing, I'm not judgmental at all. I say, okay, now let's see what we can do about it, so that you don't drag it around the rest of your life.
So is that kind of how you, I guess, with guilt, because sometimes guilt can linger and then you keep thinking about the thing you did and you've asked Baba for forgiveness, but you still think about it and you feel bad. But if you just send love to it instead, and you've already kind of felt the remorse, and you don't need to keep feeling guilty then, I guess, when you think of it. Yeah,
if you can feel the guilt and send love to it, or give the guilt to Baba, so that what happened doesn't keep impinging on your consciousness. Otherwise you just keep binding our consciousness. I did this terrible thing back in college. I mean, that's like decades and decades ago. Why am I still carrying it? We can let go of it, but bit by bit, piecemeal, or maybe in one fell swoop it can go, but often things are very piecemeal.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
talking about guilty, I just remember this experience that I had with Baba. That was really amazing. You know, I was feeling guilty, very guilty about something that I don't know if it was my fault or not, but it didn't matter because I was feeling guilty anyway, you know, with this person. And then that happened, you know, one day. And the next day there was arti, you know, and I was doing arti. I'm doing arti every evening. So I came to arti and I gave to Baba, and I just inwardly I talked to Baba and I said, and I was so distressed. I was so sad and upset and feeling so low and so guilty. And then I was doing art and I talked to Baba and I said, Baba, you know, I don't even remember what I said to Baba, but I was just, you know, talking to him and he felt my guilty. I was there with that guilty hanging over my head. It was impossible that Baba wouldn't see that, you know, he saw it. And then I used to have the habit of after art, to turn the computer off and go to my room and sit with Baba for a while, you know, before I go to bed. So that evening I sat there, I went to my room and I sat and I still feeling that guilty in me, you know. And there something, a most amazing thing happened. I felt that Baba took the guilty out of me. It was like a presence, like an energy, like something that I could see with my eyes coming out of me on the side of my head like this and going away, you know. And I felt like Baba took with his hands, he took out with his hands like this, you know, and it disappeared. Yeah. And I was feeling so free. And I was so free, was like, oh my God, I was amazed. I was like, oh my goodness. I started crying and thanking Baba for releasing me for that horrible feeling. And he heard, and he said it to me. I heard he saying, you are not guilty. And it was just the most amazing experience that I had with Baba. You know, I didn't expect this happening. I was just, you know, giving to him because I couldn't bear to have that thing in me anymore. I had to just let it go. And he did it for me, you know.
Beautiful.
It was just so unbelievable. Baba.
Wow. Baba. Yeah, the victory unto thee.
Jeff.
Yeah.
I have another perspective to this.
Yeah.
See, the guilt. She had that guilt feeling. Basic thing is to remember Baba. See, his remember is the supreme thing. And because of that guilt, she was focused on Baba.
Yeah.
And so that guilt has become a medium for his constant companion, because she was with Baba then feeling the guilt and she was thinking of Baba constantly. Yes. And even if she carried over that guilt, she was remembering Baba. So for me, that a beautiful thing is remembering Baba. Either it is because of guilt or whenever, suppose I have lust, greed, anger, I say my weakness. And then I say, oh, Baba, I'm feeling, oh, Baba, sorry. But I appreciate greed and anger, and that also, that because of that, I am remembering Baba. And the means Baba said you have to be connected with him. Once Baba was flying the cat with the mandali, what you call kite.
Kite, yeah.
Kite, and it was flying, and you know the tail, it fell off, and then the one of the mandali, he ran, and the tail, and there was nothing to stick, so there was shit lying there. And he took the sheet and put, and then again so it got his stick stuck. It is flying. The kite is flying, and so fine. But even if with the sheet we get connected to Baba, see, Baba is the ocean. See, if people think, I'm dirty person, I should not go to Baba. Oh, wow, oh, this. Baba is the ocean. And Baba is the ocean. Even the dirtiest thought is, Baba, I take it to Baba. Hey, Baba, you are the ocean. I'm yours. You have owned us. We are your children. And this is my real problem, Baba. Yes, I'll give it to him. So all our means not like we are confined to Baba in a center that okay Sunday evening or this evening we go there my duty and then we are free. Not like that. Everywhere Baba is there, and
Yeah.
everywhere whatever every second we do in our day-to-day life, Baba is there with us. He's our constant companion.
Yeah.
So I take it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
No.
JJ, you're right. Thank you for saying that. It's absolutely right. Yes.
Yeah.
No,
Hey,
Lenita,
Baba.
take it back.
Go ahead,
No,
Prakash.
I was just joking. Lenita, you take the guilt back so you can remember Baba more often.
Well, the joy is a better form of remembrance. You know, Baba said, "He who remembers me in his hour of happiness,
Yeah.
he who remembers God in his hour of happiness, remembers God best." That's
Yeah.
Baba's words.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah,
I got something from Donkin's diaries here. It's
yeah.
funny. Rather short, one page. This was recorded by uh, Donkin, Donkin on February 1st of 1940. So this is what he writes. Baba says that 1940 will be the worst year since creation, that 1941 will be a 50-50, and that 1942 will be the best year since creation. Afterwards, Dr. Ghani asked Baba which would be the best year for the Mandali. Baba said from June 1940 to June 1941. But we will wait and see, as you never can tell with Baba's dates. So it's very funny as it goes, but let me continue. Neelu and I are to give the okay to the drainage plans for the center at Bairamangala. Baba has been buttering me up the last few days. Don't quite know why, but no doubt, but no doubt I'll get the opposite soon again, calling me a good for nothing. I suppose one must become indifferent to both. That's what Donkin wrote, and it further goes. Baba goes off on January 4th till the 12th for must hunting with Erich, Khaka, Gustadji, and Jal Kerawala. Neelu has just been telling me of a row between Behram Shah and Chanji, when Behram Shah, in all his seriousness, in front of Baba, told Chanji that his wrath would make Chanji piss.
His what?
His wrath,
His anger,
yeah,
wrath. Yeah,
anger, yeah, his wrath, WRATH, wrath,
yeah.
would make Chanji piss. I mean, Behram Shah is saying this in front of Baba. Chanji, in extreme anger, answered back that his, which is Chanji's, wrath would make Behram Shah shit. Baba, enjoying all this, called Neelu in to give them both opium injections. Behram Shah said that if he was injected, he would shout at the top of his voice. Chanji argued that injection would do Behram Shah good. It would plug his ass. Behram Shah is the cause of a lot of quarrels like this. He's a hot-headed, he's hot-headed, but Baba seems to enjoy them. That's what.
That's Papa Jesawala, Erich's father.
Yeah. No, but that's funny. I mean, Baba having fun and asking Neelu to give them opium injections. That was really fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that that didn't get into print that went on between the Mandali.
Right. Sorry to derail you guys from the thought process,
Yeah,
but
no, we're just
thinking remorse, which are definitely interesting. I mean, we feel that
yeah.
all the time. Now I think I should graduate to remorse than guilt.
Hey,
No,
Jeff,
we're
how would you differentiate remorse from guilt? Would you associate guilt with your mind and remorse from the heart? Is that?
yeah. I mean, these are just words, but I associate remorse is you feel it from the heart. You feel that you've hurt somebody. You can feel that from the heart. Guilt is usually you have a value and you violate that value. It's kind of more on a mental level. You know, I I told a lie. I should never lie. I told a lie. So I violated my values. So you feel guilty. And it's often guilt is often self-referenced. Remorse is that may have hurt someone else. You feel there's empathy in it. So it's at a deeper level. Yeah. Does that make sense?
That makes
And
sense.
so the mind never resolves it. Guilt never gets resolved because it's at a mental level. It's the heart that quiets the whole scenario.
Yeah.
That's my
Thank you. That's useful.
yeah. Yeah, it's I find if I continue to feel guilty about something, I'm going to do it again. I mean, if days go on, I'm going to do it again. Remorse kind of remorse has more consequences. When something's going to bring you remorse, you're less apt to do it. Yeah.
With guilt, is it kind of like, oh, it's my fault that this happened and I feel bad, but in reality, Baba's will is what caused whatever thing to happen. And so we aren't guilty. That's the ego thinking it was my fault. It's like that. Yeah, I guess what you said, the self-reference thing.
Yeah, the self-reference. Remorse is generally you do something and it affects somebody else's heart. But the other one is kind of more mental, that you're going against your philosophy, your morals, your values. And sometimes it's not as deeply heartfelt. It's like the ego, the pride gets hurt because you fell below your your standards. And we are going to fall below our standards all the time. Because our standards, I think the standards eventually have to go, because they're idealized behavior, and no one can maintain that idealized behavior. But we think, oh well, if I give up these idealized behavior, these standards of idealized behavior, what am I? I could do a lot of terrible things. But the heart, the heart keeps us, keeps an eye on our behavior. I mean, yeah, I made myself miserable, like, what am I going to do with my life? Time is going by. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm not using my college education. I'm not using my talents, I'm not living up to the standards of, doing your full potential, your creativity, making use of your education. It's a prescription for misery. I was miserable because I wasn't able to reach those standards. But it was my mental standards. I was really kind of unkind to my heart. I made my heart feel hurt or lowly, you might say. But then
How did you free yourself of all that hurt?
I kept lowering my standards to find out what do I really feel like doing, not what I should do. What do I feel like doing? And what I really felt like doing, rather than being so focused on what I was going to do in the world, I became more determined on remembering Baba. And then just see what happens in the external life. And eventually the job they asked me to work at the center. So that kind of settled that. But it had to come from, I had to honor my heart and not my shoulds, what I should do with my education, with my abilities and all that.
Yeah, the shoulds are all outcome based, and so they're from the mind, but like gradually as you let go of, it's not about what we do, it's more about where our consciousness is in what we do. Like, are we doing it for love, or are we doing it because we want this goal or this outcome that our ego is after?
Yeah, the mechanism is kind of clear. How we sabotage our own joy and happiness by buying into things often that are impossible, that are really not going to happen. And rather than letting love kind of indicate where we want to go, and then when the heart is guiding things, you become a real expert at wherever your heart turns. If you turn to gardening, you become an expert at gardening. If you turn to music, you become an expert at music. Not because you should do it, but love educates us much better than willpower.
That's why they say do what you love.
Yeah.
Or love what you do.
Do what you love doing. Yeah. Baba says, whatever you do with love has perfect results. It's one of my favorite lines. Whatever you do with love has perfect results. It might not be perfect according to the standards of the world, And then Baba says, whatever you do for me is done by me. So if you're going to be a mother and raise your child for Baba, then he is the one who's raising your child, and he's the one that's being the mother through you.
It's so much easier that way.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of it's very profoundly simple, fundamental and simple. But once the mind gets a hold of things, Baba said, like a kaleidoscope, it's got all these mirrors in there, but there are only a few moving parts in there. But once the mind gets a hold of anything, boy, it becomes, so varied, so complicated, and not as beautiful as a kaleidoscope. So, Mary Prasad, anything coming up bubbling up from the well?
No, when you were talking about the talents and things like that, I remember Baba's letter to Garrett Fort. I don't have it with me right now, but that was a very beautiful letter he wrote to Garrett Fort about, now that you know whatever talents you had was withheld or released, something like that, withheld or released as they were fit for my work or something like that. It was a very beautiful quote that he sent. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I can't remember that, but
let me find it, unless somebody's able to find it.
But the thing, yeah.
It was a letter to Garrett Fort in response to what Garrett Fort wrote to Baba about how he was depressed about his talents not being used and all that.
Was that from Lord Meher Prasad?
It may have been. I don't remember where I read that. I read that like 25 years back, but it remained
Yeah.
in my memory.
Meher Prasad, try that link. Maybe that has the answer you're looking for. I'm not sure. I put one in the chat box here.
Okay, let me take a look.
You know, I've said this before on this, but one of the things that helped me immensely is by chance I wound up seemingly, up near Darwin and Gene Shaw. I was just visiting college buddy up there, and I heard there was an elderly couple who had met Baba and looked him up, and next thing I knew, I was living there in Schenectady. But the thing with Darwin Shaw is he was so charismatic, so unassuming, so full of love, so balanced in everything. And I came from a background. I mean, you grow up where you use your talents, your abilities, your education, and all that. Now, here was Darwin. He could have been the mayor of Schenectady. He was a great speaker. He could have been a senator from New York. There are many things he could have done. But I observed that he worked for the traffic department of Schenectady, meaning, stoplights, parking, traffic lights, road signs and everything. And I saw he only went up 2 rungs on the ladder of even the traffic department. He went up where he could earn his living and remember Baba at the same time. I mean, he actually didn't go all the way up to higher and higher responsibilities where he would be hassled by, so much responsibility. He went up and he maintained, his inner life with Baba without too much demands on his psyche. And I thought, wow, someone like this who could have been so many things in the world, and he just wasn't tempted to go higher and higher and higher. And because of that, I was able to just clean cabins at the center that I could have done when I was in junior high. I could have learned it in 3 weeks.
You want me to read this quote, Jeff?
Yeah.
This quote really had a big impact in my life because this was when I was around 25 or 26, and I was really struggling with with a similar thing as you were having, where I was going through this. I'm not, my talents are not being used properly and all that. And of course, I was not as determined as you were, so I succumbed to those thoughts of mine, and I had to figure out a way to satisfy my talents being used properly. But anyway, so let me read this. It was really a good one for me. Let's see. So this one is from Baba. Baba sent the following letter from Khan, dated 3rd October 1937, to Garrett Fort. Now you know that your earning power, like all your talents, is a grace from me, given or withheld, as I deem best for your spiritual evolution. You said in your letter that you have surrendered your life to me, that you have no ambition but to serve me, that you are a soldier ready for the call. But apparently you do not like the call that has been given you. You want the war to be conducted according to your ideas, not mine. Try to remember, dear Garrett, that you are doing my work, which is as ancient as I am. In surrendering your life to me, you must be prepared to follow my instructions implicitly, without caring for the results, which are in my hands and depend upon my will. My promises are always kept, but in my own way and at my own time.
Yeah. this reminds me some a couple that had their children, setting up their education and everything. They wanted them to go into good careers, and they came to Erich and said, what should they do? What do you recommend that they do for careers? And Erich was kind of said, just take any job or any career, but really the whole purpose is what you're doing is to remember Baba. And the parents said, no, I mean, really, I mean, they're gonna, we want them to do something. But I mean, Erich just kind of said it's whatever job you take, the whole purpose is really to remember Baba and draw closer to him. So if you're a janitor or you're a high executive or whatever, if you can remember Baba in there, then fine. But these jobs don't have any value if they're taking you away from remembering Baba all the more. That was Erich's answer. I'm glad that I didn't go where I might have gone with my talents, because I would have been like preoccupied with writing and all sorts of stuff, instead of just this mindless job where I could remember Baba and I didn't have to go home with stuff hanging over my head. I wouldn't have chosen it myself. I wouldn't have chosen it given my background and my conditioning and everything, but it happened. Thank God.
You would have been like me, Jeff, so you avoided that.
It kind of makes the rest of us jealous, where we are occupied at work all day long and tend to forget Baba.
Well, Erich, here's a very invaluable thing, though, from Erich. I mean, it was a turning point in my life. I've probably said it here before, but before I was working at the center, I was working as a painter with this guy. This guy, he had a business of house painting, and we'd paint these houses. There's a place called Briarcliff north of the center of all these kind of upscale homes and everything like that. So the job had to be really good. But back then I was like a Baba remembrance machine. So I'd be like standing and just, inwardly Baba, 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 painting Baba, 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 Baba. I mean, just, that was my whole thing from morning till night. And so I worked there with him for about 6 months, and we went to India. And we're sitting outside of Mandalay Hall. It's just this fellow and myself and Erich. And he says to Erich, Erich, I'm a house painter, and all I do all day is, I spend so much time painting and I forget Baba. Hours go by, I've forgotten Baba. It's the most important thing, he's come and everything, and I'm just wasting time. And what can I do about it? Now, that wasn't my problem. Mine was Baba, 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 So, Erich says, in the beginning it's important to remember Baba, to say his name, to read the materials, to see the movies, to go to the places where Baba's been. But in time, it becomes important to forget yourself. And when you forget yourself, Baba can live through you, even though you're not aware of it. So get into your painting, get wholeheartedly into your painting, and forget yourself in this house painting. And then when you come out of the absorption of that one pointedness, when you remember to remember him. When it occurs you to remember him. But forgetting yourself and remembering Baba, they're great. They work complementary. They're great complements. Meaning, so I could go and play volleyball. I can get into the game, have fun, forget Baba, get into the game, and then afterwards, as I'm leaving the game to go over to the refectory, I can, I remember Baba. So work doesn't need to keep you from from the focus on Baba, because I asked Margaret Crass dancers, great ballet dancers, they were in serious performances. I said, when you were on the stage and all these performances dancing, were you remembering Baba? They said it didn't work. They would remember Baba before the dance, then they go out and give themselves to the dance, and they would remember him afterwards. So that my remembrance of Baba was like I was kind of rigid. So I got back my playfulness and enthusiasm and fun-lovingness with just that what Erich said there when I was young. So your job needn't take you away from Baba, because when you're really focusing on your job, Baba can do all sorts of things through you, even though you're not aware of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lifesaver for me. Yeah.
Hey, Jeff, here is something that goes in the same lines.
Yeah.
This is a letter written to Arnavas from Baba. And I'm just reading one small section here. So Baba says, I do my work wherever I am and in whatever I do. I work universally for the good of all mankind. And you to remember that whether teaching, helping at home, working elsewhere, you're working for me. Anywhere you can be thinking of me and come ever closer to me in love and faith. You will find me more and more within yourself, within others, and in every work you unselfishly do for others. Jai Baba.
Yeah. Beautiful. That was to Anita? That was
Sorry?
to Anita Villard, or?
No. This Arnavas.
Arnavas, yeah.
Baba wrote to Arnavas in the month of June 1938.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I found, like I say, the blend of, or the self-forgetfulness and Baba remembrance, and that works in a very healthy, relaxed, natural way. But he got me out of that mania, whatever that was. It was funny because I said to the guy, do you remember when Erich told us that? You asked him that question, and he didn't remember at all, because it was really for me that Erich was saying that. Yeah. I
Jeff,
needed to hear
Dinesh
that.
has his hand up.
Who? Oh, yeah, Dinesh.
Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Jai Baba.
Yeah, Jai Baba. Dinesh,
I think net
do you,
problem.
what's that?
Frozen.
Yeah, I think a network issue.
Jeff.
Yes.
Okay, your voice is breaking, Dinesh.
Mine is?
No, Dinesh.
Yeah, Dinesh is breaking up. Yeah. Hey, well, anyway, I think we're coming down the home stretch here.
Jeff.
Yeah.
You said that you are with Baba since 1960, but I feel it is not easy to come into ambit of avatar in just one lifetime. See, it takes many, many, many lifetimes. And Baba's Mandli was with him since Shivaji's. And there were many, Baba said, you were with me since Krishna. I remember one family. And so, see, those 8,400,000 life in human form, their rebirth and rebirths occurs. And so we are really so fortunate to have, and this is also because Baba has taken us into his ambit, and our previous company with the masters and avatars, and that's why we are here. And yeah, so I say it is not just this lifetime that we are so easily we came into his ambit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I really think I think the fact that we recognize Baba the man, the me, we met him. You know, because I had friends who had no problem with, they felt the truth of what Baba said in the discourses and everything, but they weren't drawn to him. You know, they agreed that Baba knew the truth and everything, but they didn't have the personal relationship because they may not have met him in the past. We fell in love with his personality, as you know, as well as everything else. That personality, uh, you know.
But it's not you, it's him who likes you, irrespective of whether you like him or not. But once he likes you, he grabs you and he takes into his ambit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it all happens from his end,
yeah, yeah,
but you, from a human standpoint,
yeah,
we recognized him,
right.
and yeah, here
Yeah,
we
a
Um,
are,
lot of
and here
lines,
we are again. What's that?
well, I
a
was
lot of
just
lines, Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
sorry.
Mine is a
Go
small.
ahead.
Mine is a small one. Along those lines that Vijay was saying, Baba said that Khorshid was Radha's during Krishna's time, Radha's best friend. Small Khorshid.
Yeah. And Mara's best friend in the early days, really. She never felt jealous of Mara. That's why she had that special position. She didn't feel jealous of the attention that Mara got from Baba. She just didn't have it. Yeah. She was happy for Mara. And yeah. So, Catherine, what were you going to say?
Well, it was just thinking of the idea that God uses us like instruments, like a musician or something. It's basically being an instrument for God to play the symphony. And so I see that with Baba. It's just that we're all the different instruments, that he's playing in our own, as our own, whatever part we have here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that analogy because then it's like, wow, an orchestra doesn't sound good if it's all one instrument. Like we're all different instruments, but he gives us all the perfect role or job or whatever, and together it's like a beautiful orchestra.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and this orchestra has no repeated instruments. Every instrument, there's no instrument like the one we have. No one can love Baba the way we do. Each one of us does better than we do because we're the only one who love him the way we do.
But also that Baba is playing us,
Yeah.
We're just the instrument. It's Baba that's doing the playing.
Darwin used to say, don't think of yourself as a base of operations. Think of yourself as a conduit, as a vehicle. That's ideally the best. That so that he can love through you without running into a lot of obstruction. It's a different paradigm altogether. That be a conduit rather than a base of operations. Almost everybody on the earth is a base of operations. I'm in charge. I got to pay my income tax. I got to do this and that, and I'm the one. This is my house. These are my kids. These are that base of operations. But more life is coming through. Love is coming through. It's a different paradigm. Yeah. We don't honor the flute. It's the flute player is the important one. We don't want to glorify. Hey, Dinku, what do you have you been in and out of this, haven't you?
Yes, I've been here all along. Well, I missed the first half hour.
Yeah.
But I've been here. I just wanted to say, you know, when you talked about what you and who was it, Mayor Prasad or Vijay said that we've been with Baba, you know, at different stages. But I came to Baba around the late 1990s or around that time. And before that, you know, there was just no attraction or anything to him. But yet the more and more that I've gotten into Baba and his life and the Mandali, it all seems so familiar, as if, you know, I know them, I've been there, I can sort of experience it internally. And it's a great feeling.
Yeah. Because it's all happening right now, too. It didn't happen just back then. It's all this is alive in the present as well. I don't know if that makes sense, but Baba lived his life in time, and but he lived his life in this moment as well. So you can tune into Baba at any period in his life. I mean, sometimes I see the videos of the Mandali that were taken in Mandali Hall, and it's just exactly like being there. I was there.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know how it is, but it's as real as it was when we were sitting around in Mandali Hall. The flavor, the whole sense, the atmosphere is, well, you know, just like this right here. We're just seeing each other on these screens, but there's much more going on than...
Yeah, it's like a lot of you are so familiar to me.
Yeah. There's a other dimension that's going on. Yeah. Hey, well, anyway, let's see. I think it's getting a little late. I don't even know what time it is, but oh my God, it's after.
It's 11:11.
Yeah.
It's the time of oneness here. It's 1-1-1-1.
Yeah. Hey, well, let's see. Marinaz, are you still around?
Oh, of course, I'm here.
Oh, good.
And I'm just thinking what instrument I am. Am I that piano that Baba just push his finger gently on it, or am I that tabla that Baba keep tapping on my head every day?
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering what instrument.
Yeah, wouldn't that be interesting if we all kind of spent some time thinking what kind of instrument we are? You know, I mean, to view ourselves from the world, the musical perspective. Yeah. Yeah. No. Hey, so anyway, I guess I had no idea where this was going to go, but I think this is all. I just think that Baba really enjoys how each one is trying to draw closer to him and, you know, find his way with you, how you relate to him. And it's, oh, look at that, the everything and the nothing. Dinesh.
Yeah, Baba, Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to read one quote on the back of the book.
Yeah, when men soar in the, yeah. Okay, let's do this, and then we'll have a few moments of silence. Okay?
Right. Yeah. Whether men soar to outer space or dive to the bottom of the deepest ocean, they will find themselves as they are, unchanged, because they will not have forgotten themselves nor remembered to exercise the charity of forgiveness. Meher Baba.
Wow. And we covered some of that today, forgiveness and What was
Forget
the
and
other?
this whole chapter is 64. Forgive and forget.
Yeah.
This quote is taken from this chapter.
Uh-huh. Yeah. No, thank you. Well, let's have a few moments of silence before we go back. Jai Baba. Hey, I wanted to mention one thing is that this coming Sunday, uh, I've got Nashwan Nalavala coming on, who he met Baba first as a child back in I think 1950 in Dehradun. So this is at 10 o'clock at night. But he is wonderful, and he wanted to be interviewed, so I'm gonna ask him questions, and if you folks feel free to ask him questions. But he he met Baba as a little boy initially, but also over the years and his teenage years and everything. So we'll see. Like I say, there are very few people in this country left who met Baba, and luckily he moved to New Jersey, so America got one more person added who met Baba. So, and he's very good. He's wonderful. He's the one that has produced the Glows, the publisher of the Glow magazine, and he's a wealth of information. But what I like so much is how it was like to be with Baba, and how Baba related to him, and he'll share that. We'll extract it from him. Yeah. So that's next Sunday, this coming Sunday. Okay. Wow.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
And Jai Baba.
Yeah, Jai Baba.
Hey, Baba.
Jai Baba.
Avtar
Har Meher Baba ki jai.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai
Jai Baba.
Jai
Jai Baba Vijay ji.
Jai